listen, people are still showing up down here. One guy's like, yeah, I don't know if they're going to let me in. And they're coming in full battle gear. Like they coming for war.
It's crazy.
My thing is this. You coming for war. Now, if they turn up on you, I don't want to hear any excuses.
Yep.
Don't blame the police. Don't talk about police brutality because you came down here brutalizing the police.
Yep.
And the ICE officers who were simply standing down here because they have to go back and forth doing their job.
Yep.
Like I posted earlier, the menu of the food and the resources that these folks have is better than a lot of our residents struggling to live in the city of Newark. It's all propaganda for the midterm elections. This can all be stopped. Our resources can stop being wasted if the public officials, Raz, Mikey Sherrill, Timu, and Dollar Tree Obama, Booker and Jeffries, Andy Kennedy, y'all came down here and told these people to go home and stop this nonsense, this could all be put to bed.
Yep.
But no, you're fueling the
fire. Hey,
Godling. Let's
how you
create
doing?
A problem and say that we solved it so you can reelect us. Stop the madness. People are being hurt because they're down here acting foolish instead of being home where they belong.
Yep.
And they're wasting our resources and our dollars because all of our cops are down here for this foolishness, leaving us vulnerable in our neighborhoods. Come on, y'all.
And then when something bad happens, it's Trump. So that is some common sense coming from a person of color. Look, the Democrat Party wants everyone to believe that if you're black, you're automatically a Democrat. If you're black, you automatically hate ICE. If you're black, you automatically hate Trump. They hate seeing people like her and people like me who have at least common sense to look at a situation and call it out. Now, she's said some really, really common sense things, and we're keeping an eye on the ICE facility, okay? They're still milling around, the violent thugs are essentially in hiding. They tend to come out once it's dark, so I'm keeping an eye out for the activities at the facility. We'll switch over if anything pops off. But for tonight, we're going to be covering a few stories. And as usual, we'll do our commentary. I'm going to read your comments in the chat. And at the end of the live stream, I'll give you an update on a few personal things. I did talk about a few things last night. I'm going to save it to the very end of the show. I'm going to give you the full show. And then if you're interested in hanging around and asking about how we're doing and what's going on and what comes next, you can wait till the end of the show. But I do appreciate all of the comments. I was shocked by some of the comments I saw on yesterday's live stream. I literally believed that yesterday's live stream wasn't going to get as many views or wasn't going to perform as well as the previous live streams. But people are finding the content, and I have a few people reaching out and saying some encouraging things. I'm going to read some of their comments at the end of this live stream. So let's move on. So this Democrat representative, look, if you had told me that people say these kind of things, I wouldn't believe it, okay? But there's footage, there's video, and when you confront them about these insane demonic policies, they'll tell you that, no, you didn't see right, you didn't hear right, it's wrong, you're misinformed, you're going based on misinformation. Let's hear this insanity out, okay? They say that leftists need to create underground railroads for abortion in states that have outlawed baby sacrifice. Let's hear this out.
The Supreme Court, it's not the Roberts Court, it's the Trump Court, okay? And the Trump Court is hell-bent on bringing us back to a Jim Crow South. It's hell-bent, and it has taken the bodily autonomy away from young women and girls in terms of their abortion rights and their reproductive health rights. The administration is extremely clear on how they view women and disabled people. Okay, so now our North Star.
So as far as Democrats are concerned, reproductive rights are the rights to murder your unborn child simply because you don't want the inconvenience of not being able to have sex for 9 months. That is what it is.
To me, there's a couple mechanical ways that we can, move forward. Let's agree that we either need to expand the court, not just because we don't agree with what they're doing. I think we need court reform all around. Why do these fools get lifetime jobs? Again,
yes, that part.
It's for a lifetime. Nobody gets a life.
Excuse me. You have Democrats literally and other Republican senators literally going into dementia while they're in Congress. This woman is such a hypocrite because she serves in Congress, and if she can hoodwink her voters into returning her again and again and again, she's going to be there for life. They're going to roll her into Congress in a wheelchair. So it's crazy listening to her, and then she's the one who's like, "Oh, the judges." The judges need to have term limits. Okay, you guys, you need to have term limits. How about that? Okay, Trump should actually do them a favor and help them by expanding the court for them. Look, if the moment Trump does it, it's like what we saw with redistricting. Once the Democrats started redistricting, and eventually the GOP got some common sense and said, okay, it seems like the rules have changed. Let's do the same thing. And Texas started it. They all rose up and said, it's racist. It's racist. Meanwhile, it was simply redistricting based on regular district boundaries. And then they turned around and said, okay, we're going to redistrict based on racial lines. And of course, the Supreme Court struck it down because that is unconstitutional. As soon as the Republicans begin to play by these rules the right way, they're immediately going to play the race card. I guarantee you. The moment President Trump decides, okay, the Democrats have been calling for packing the Supreme Court, so we're going to do it, and we're going to, add the additional 7. Or however many, 6, I think, to the Supreme Court. They're going to lose their minds because they're going to start, oh, this one is racist. There are too many white people, or the black people aren't black enough, and so on. They're going to go there. But there's a reason why Republicans don't cower or don't cooperate with that insanity. It's because packing the Supreme Court opens up the floodgates. Because if the Republicans add 6 more to make it, add 4 more to make it 13, the Democrats are going to come in and say, okay, it's our turn to add more. And then eventually you'll have a Supreme Court of 50 people. And that makes no sense. So I think the Supreme Court should stay at 9 justices. But anyway, I'm ranting and I'm going off kilter. I'm sure he could make that sacrifice. Well, he could, but we all know that they're going to take it too far. Okay, I'm going to read the rest of that
decision to gut the Voting Rights Act.
Watch this.
But day after day, they are maligning Americans and folks who are on the margins. Where's your evolution, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the president of the United States has to run every 4 years, they get to put in place folks who have no accountability.
Now, the reason why the Supreme Court, dude, I am not an American citizen, but I have common sense about this entire conversation. If the Supreme Court have term limits and they literally have to be elected into office, they become politicians. They become politicians. They literally have to begin to pass rulings that people like, and those people begin to put pressure on them to say, if you want to be returned as a justice of the Supreme Court, you have to kowtow to our every whim. That's how this works. They know it. They're counting on it. Because once that happens, the Supreme Court will be corrupted. And they essentially become politicians vying for votes. They know what they're doing. and they're hoping that somebody stupid enough to fall for their trick does it.
System. And again, I think our Constitution has always been up for revision. That's why we have.
Again, look, this woman is essentially the floodgates of Democrat insanity. I thought we were only going to be hearing her out about abortion, but she's essentially owning up to all of the insane thoughts that the Democrats have been talking about over the last 50 years. She's talked about abortion and reproductive rights, the murder of children being, something that is honorable and virtuous. She's talked about packing the Supreme Court and possibly giving them term limits in order to corrupt the decisions of the Supreme Court. Now she's pivoted over to the Constitution. I thought we were only going to spend a few minutes listening to her to her insanity, but looks like she has more to say.
The amendment structure. And so I'm hoping that we...
And this dude with the afro, the gray, gnarly afro, nodding his head like... I have to be a Christian. Sorry. This is why people like this is why the Democrats keep getting voted back into power in spite of their stupid, insane, racist policies. People like him, egging them on, giving them votes, and attacking people who don't agree with the insanity, saying, hey, why don't you like our insanity? You're racist for not liking our insanity. I don't like the insanity because I can see from a mile away, I can see from 10,000 miles away how this ends. And this, my goodness, Holy Spirit, help me. Sorry. This guy is just egging her on, saying, hey, I support that, I support that, I support that. It's crazy.
Sure. And so I'm hoping that we can expand the court and that we find new ways to hold the Supreme Court accountable. They are leading this country into the mud.
So when the Supreme Court interprets the Constitution, I'm sorry, guys, I hope you guys aren't, I'm not losing you guys because it's crazy. I'm listening to her and she's saying we want to hold the Supreme Court accountable. What do you mean? The Supreme Court looks at the Constitution and looks at the cases that are brought before them and they say to you, based on the reading and the spirit of the Constitution, this case is either valid or not valid. And then you have a bunch of these radical leftist Democrats up in arms whenever a ruling doesn't go their way, threatening the justices of the Supreme Court. And in their mind, we're going to kick out anyone who doesn't vote the way we want. Okay. It's too early to be riled up.
But listen, it's not enough to just say, the court is horrible, the Trump court is horrible, the president is ridiculous, the Democrats are, they're out of touch.
This is not the Trump court. This is the same court, hasn't changed, that said that President Trump's lawsuit about the 2020 elections did not have standing. How is that the Trump court when they've ruled against Trump again and again? On tariffs, the same Supreme Court ruled against the Trump administration, telling them that the tariffs that they issued as they stand are illegal. How is that the Trump court? And you know what? People watch this podcast or watch TDSBC and they believe what they hear. They're like, hey, it's true. They are the Trump court without any facts, only because a person of color sat in front of the camera and claimed that the Supreme Court was Trump's court and was racist.
Republicans are Klansmen. No, there's over 20 states right now where women can't access the right to abortion. Yeah. We have to create underground railroads. We have to ensure that our college and universities, we're holding our presidents to account to say, stop sending the names of protesters to this evil DOJ, from the courts to every single...
Where were you when the people who took strolls in the Capitol on January 6th were being hunted down nationwide, SWAT teams were essentially kicking down doors in the dead of night to arrest grandmas who took a walk in the Capitol building. Where was the outrage? The hypocrisy is just staggering.
Department within the administration, and I'm clumping the courts, even though they're supposed to be a dual form of government, they're run by the Trump administration. I don't think we stop.
I'm sorry, guys. I can't stand stupidity, and I can't stand lies. Okay, I can't. So if you're here for the first time and you're hearing me do all of this, I just can't stand it.
Our organizing, I don't think we stop caring for our.
All right, so she's essentially exhausted the insanity. She's winding down. Gardening says, but if they start to do it and the Dems stop them and pass that you can't do it, then they will not be able to. I don't think so. The Democrats are so disconnected from their conscience that they will literally do one thing today, and by tomorrow morning, they reverse course and do the opposite. And they know they can do it because the mainstream media will have their back. It's really that simple, all right? Because we know they'll do it as soon as they can. They will, as long as you have a weak GOP in Congress that's not holding them back. All right, so let's skip over to this quick, because what we just heard was just a tirade of, a TDS tirade. And someone asked Dr. Oz to give his medical advice from Americans like her suffering from TDS. Here's what he had to say.
Do you have any medical advice for the Americans out there that are suffering from a very serious ailment called Trump derangement syndrome?
I am concerned about folks who have focused their entire life energy on dislike of the president. It's disheartening to see people lost in that way, but treating stupid is really hard.
Yep, treating stupid is really hard. Sorry, treating stupid is really, really hard. Okay, it's crazy. Now, those of us who remember the summer of 2020, okay, we remember people like Ali Velshi, okay, giving us the report, because they essentially believe that we're all dumb. Okay, so here's him describing the riots during the Summer of Love. We're not going to let them live this down.
Solve this problem. So I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not generally speaking unruly, but fires have.
Look, it is not generally unruly with a raging inferno behind him.
Started, and there's a crowd that is relishing that. Solve this problem. So these guys think that we all have Alzheimer's. They believe we have Alzheimer's. They believe that those of us who call them out are racist and stupid. Okay, but it's insane that you can watch this and still believe what the mainstream media has to tell you. And look, I feel really sad for anyone who has TDS-BC playing nonstop in their homes. And I think I have relatives that do that. And it shows in the way they discuss issues and politics. Anyway, let's scoot on over to another topic. Now, this is a topic that I've not given much voice to, but I was asked to play a video 2 days ago, and I said I was going to play it today. No, I think yesterday, but the other thing came up. So, former Labour spokesman James Matthewson accuses Julia Hartley Brewer of bigotry over her views on trans ideology. Let's listen to this stupidity.
Saying that trans women are women is factually, biologically, provably, scientifically untrue. Trans women, by definition, are trans-identified men. They are men. They are not women. They're not women.
They're not, and the Supreme Court ruling was incorrect. They are not. If you speak to scientists,
everything we've ever known about biology is incorrect.
If you let me finish with one thing, because I know we're limited to time. What I will say, Julia, is trans women are women, trans men are men. The predators are in power, and those people like Donald Trump are pointing to trans people to blame them. It's projection.
So this guy lives in the UK. Trump is not their prime minister or president or king. But anything that goes wrong in the UK, according to them, is Trump's fault. Look, the best thing that could have happened for the world was Trump winning the 2024 election. Now, I'm saying that politically. That was the best thing that could have happened for the world, because Trump essentially put an end to all of the insanity that had been running roughshod during the Biden administration. It was insane. And this guy, of course, he's saying that the Supreme Court of the UK ruled that a man can wake up and try to pass on his delusions to everyone else to say, I'm now a woman. And everyone is required to believe them. It's a crazy thing for those of us who still have functional brains and souls, but they actually want to believe this. And if you disagree with them, they react with violence.
For their own crimes as rapists.
Okay, trans women are women. This mug is a table.
Yeah.
Because I'm just making up the definition of words. This is a table. And if you don't believe that, James, you are a bigot.
Yeah,
that's literally what you've just said to me.
You are the one who espouses bigotry on this front.
I've never been bigoted. I'm not bigoted. I express no hate. If a man believes he's a woman, he either is suffering from a mental health issue. It used to be called gender dysphoria, or he is lying and he's wanting to gain access to women's spaces for nefarious reasons.
Oh, yeah,
or it's a fetish. There are only three reasons why men would claim that.
Okay, so one of your reasons there, famously, so men have to dress up as a woman to infiltrate spaces and rape them. I don't think that's true when the president of the United States can rape women and get away with it and be the president.
Men have been able to rape.
So, courtesy of the TDSBC and CNN, the lie has gone intercontinental. All right, the lie that Trump assaulted E. Jean Carroll. Maybe tomorrow we'll look at the fact that E. Jean Carroll's claims are falling apart. The lie has gone intercontinental, and when you provide them with evidence that they are spouting lies, they continue spouting the lies. They say, no, he assaulted this person. He was convicted by a jury, a very biased jury in New York, of something that they couldn't prove. Let's just listen to this insanity.
Women forever and continue.
Nobody is dressing up as a woman to access women's spaces.
They literally are.
They literally are. You guys have seen those reports. You guys have seen those reports. Didn't? Oh, jeez. Anyway, let's keep going.
They literally, James, you need to keep up on the crime stats, my darling.
The most powerful man in the world.
Why are you talking about Donald Trump? It's got something to do with Donald Trump.
Impunity. He sends a message to all the rapists.
Listen, James, I'm going to win this. It's got nothing to do with him. No, it's got nothing to do with him.
And these people vote.
American people voted for him. More for them on that front, on that particular issue. Okay, here's the thing. It's very, very simple. When vast majority of violent and sex crimes against women are committed by other women, then we'll worry about the women. Women want safe spaces to get changed, to go to the toilet, because men are a physical threat, and we don't know which men are. And the stats are very clear. The men who identify as trans have exactly the same criminal rate as non-trans identified men. And that's why we don't want any men in any of our spaces. And that's not bigoted. I'm going to have to end the conversation now. I get the last say because it's my show.
Yes, and this guy is insane. Okay, he is insane. He's talking to a woman who is saying, we don't feel safe when men masquerading as women show up in our washrooms while we're in our most vulnerable positions and they whip out their P have to be PG-13 or PG-12, and they're like, it's perfectly normal. Now, why is it that this insanity has been pervaded? Okay, it's because it's being pushed in schools, and this is the video that that Tony was referencing. Another student and this time in Scotland, owning a teacher on gender debate and caught on camera. What's more concerning, the teacher refers to the authority several times, like that guy referred to the Supreme Court. The teacher is saying the authorities have said that that this is the way we are supposed to think. So this is real, okay? Student kicked out of class for saying there are two genders. Let's listen.
You're entitled to your opinion.
If I am, then why would you kick me out of class? It's not very inclusive of opinion.
Can I finish a sentence, please? Not very inclusive. No, I'm sorry. What you were saying was not very inclusive, and this is an inclusive school.
Yeah. How was what I was saying?
Because I was saying that what's wrong with the website is that there are more than one gender in this country.
That's your opinion.
That is my opinion, and that is an opinion which is acceptable in the school. I'm afraid yours, which you're saying that there's no such thing as anyone other than male or female, is not inclusive.
Scientifically, there are just two genders. Depending on what
I get that,
but
you're choosing to make an issue of this, because I said, are you really going to hear? That was your opportunity to keep quiet.
You made the issue with it on the website. You said, oh, this website doesn't have more than two
Murray,
genders.
You were clearly given an opportunity not to pursue it. You chose to do so.
Yeah, because I think it's
You
silly.
chose to do so. Yes, that's the key question. You chose to do so.
I think it's silly to have anything other than two genders. So.
Okay.
Anything else is a personal
Could you please keep that opinion to your own house? Thank you.
This is what they want, guys. This is what they want. They want you and I to slink away into a dark corner and keep our conservative, common sense opinions to ourselves. Because once we open our mouths to say the truth, it exposes the insanity of their position. This is meant to be a teacher. This is meant to be a teacher. And he is essentially lying and saying something that is not scientific fact. And he essentially told the student to leave his classroom. They're just having this exchange because he's walked the student out of the classroom.
Not in the
So
school.
you get to put your opinion out in class, and my
No,
opinion
I am not.
My opinion has to stay inside
I am
my
not
house.
putting my opinion. I am not putting my opinion out. I am stating what is national school authority policy. Okay?
Well, it's not scientific whatsoever.
This is what the leftists want. They want to be able to write laws and it magically becomes reality, even though there's no basis in science or common sense. And if you go against it, they punish you by depriving you of access to things that you need. For example, this teacher is depriving the student of access to the classroom. I wouldn't call it to an education because that's not what's going on in that classroom. That's the modus operandi. But sadly, the student is not even fazed because he doesn't care that he's being sent out of the classroom, because exposing himself to this brain rot isn't going to help him in any way.
Not every policy is scientific, Brian.
Oh!
Sorry, not every policy is scientific, Murray.
And you can't...
This is witchcraft, guys. Let's just call it what it is. It's witchcraft. Why is the third world the third world? Because the third world is largely run by people who don't believe in science. They believe in witchcraft. They believe in manipulation. They believe in voodoo. Any country that predominantly runs on anything that isn't scientifically repeatable is a third world country. All right. So that's what these guys are not going to stop until they destroy Western civilization and take us all back to the stone ages. And their hope is that when that happens, they will be the ones on top holding the clubs, keeping the rest of us in line. That's what they want.
Come out here and say that I'm not being inclusive when someone says
I
something
didn't
you
say
disagree with. So
I said what you were saying was not being inclusive.
You kicked me out of class. If you want to have a discussion about it, we could have done it
This guy
had a discussion. You don't have to kick
These guys are allergic to facts. We've watched videos like this again and again. Once you begin to push back with facts that are unchangeable, they walk away like, oh, I can't take this anymore. They literally have an allergic reaction to facts.
out of class.
I'm sorry.
Waste 30 minutes of my time. Where I could have been down revising, doing something else.
This is crazy, guys.
Instead, I state something I believe in. You kick me out of class for 30 minutes and I'm waiting on the
Take this somewhere else, Murray. You can make an official complaint.
I'm not going to make an official complaint.
Why not?
I just think it's...
I know what you think, and I know what the authority thinks. I know.
Now, he knows that... Now, this is not the United States. This is, I think, Ireland or the UK. And he knows that if he makes a complaint, he's going to be the one punished. No one is going to listen to him. Now, we're going to watch another video that took place in the United States. And a teacher did this, and it was a different story because the teacher got fired. We're going to watch that video too.
The authority's point of view.
The authority.
Very clear that we make no discrimination.
Post your thoughts in the chat.
I wasn't making discrimination. I'm simply saying there are two genders, male and female.
Yeah.
Anything else is a personal identification.
I'm sorry, but you chose to make an issue of making a point which is contrary to policy.
You made the issue when you complained about the website, sir.
Yes.
This is
communism. And I responded to that by saying, but there are only two genders. I never made the issue.
I am not doing that. You can choose, but you're making bad choices.
I'm making bad choices, okay. Well, can I take my bag and go to the research area and start revising it?
You can stay here.
Okay, I'll stay here.
Says the witch doctor with his with his raffia skirts.
I am not allowed to tell you how much of my time you have wasted.
Okay.
This is insane. All right, so let's skip on over to the next video. So this happened in the United States.
Kind of a recap of our remarks on gender and sexuality. We ready? From last class. What we didn't get to in our last class.
I just have a question because I'm not entirely sure this is legal to be teaching. Because according to our president, there's only two genders, and he said that he would be freezing agencies' funding programs that promote gender ideology. And this also very much goes against not only myself, but a lot of people's religious beliefs. And so I am not going to participate in this because it's not legal, and I don't want to promote something that is against our president's laws as well as against my religious beliefs. Yes.
So she says that the student is under a misconception. That what she's saying is illegal. There was an executive order that essentially stated that teaching this in the classrooms was illegal.
Can you explain to me how teaching us about gender identity and transgenderism and that there's more sexes than...
Gender isn't illegal.
Huh?
My gender isn't illegal.
Gender? What do you mean? Your gender is not illegal. According to President Trump's executive order, if you want me to read the paragraph in that...
Now, President Trump's executive order didn't say that the genders, anyone who wants to call themselves whatever they like, was illegal. He said, you can't impose these things in the classrooms. You can't allow men to enter into female sports and beat up the females. You can't let men dressed as women enter into female spaces like washrooms. That was what he said. If you want to live in that mindset, if you want to live in that delusion, hate me for this, but it's fine. If you want to live that way, you do it on your own time. But the government isn't going to fund that delusion. It's a simple statement by President Trump.
Order itself.
If you are uncomfortable in this class, you do have the right to leave.
Yes.
What we are doing is not...
So she says to her, you have a right to leave.
We need to talk to the department or the head of undergraduate.
Well, I've already been in contact with the president of A&M, and I actually have a meeting with him in person to show all of my documentation tomorrow. But
and she's like, report me. And she's like, yeah, I have an appointment and I have proof that you've been doing this, and I'm going to be meeting them tomorrow.
Yes.
I'm not convinced that your proposal will be effective in stopping me from teaching things.
So in other words, she's trying to gaslight the student by saying she doesn't believe that what she's going to do the next day will be effective in stopping her from teaching that in class. She has the legal and ethical authority, professional expertise in the classroom. Oh, geez. You have to leave. Okay. So what happens next is the Texas A&M professor, this lady who kicked a girl out of class for having a religious objection to transgender rhetoric, has been fired by Governor Greg Abbott of Texas. Gardening, that's how you do it, guys. Texas, that's how you do it. Okay? That's how you do it. Okay, so she's been fired. Okay? Now, let me read this text, okay? Intergalactic Wrangler says, because the guy on the interview said, well, no guy is dressing as a woman to get into women's space. Intergalactic says, yes, I've seen it. I've seen at least 3 guys going into women's restrooms on YouTube channels. It's been captured. It's all over the place. It's all over the place. There was a video that I saw on X of women at a restroom, at a restaurant, a public, restroom, who essentially had to barricade the washroom to keep men dressed like women from getting into the washroom. They literally had to do that. So when these people just lie and you're like, look, we've seen this, you can't gaslight us into believing that those things don't happen. We've seen these things happen. We've seen the videos, and you're like, no, you've not seen anything. You're misinformed. It's all misinformation. Gardening says, yes, Texas deals with it a lot. There are lots of people who are just out there who just don't have any sense. Now, this next story is just a walkthrough, okay? Because why is it that they insist on teaching these brain-breaking ideologies in the classroom? There's a reason. It is because when you convince a student that a boy can become a girl, or that a man can wake up the next day and decide that they're a woman and everyone is supposed to go along with it, it is part of brainwashing. It's part of brainwashing. Did you know that in the early 1900s, that there was a thesis that essentially was put out that they needed to know if teachers had the capability of convincing their students in elementary school that white was black? That they could literally brainwash kids into believing that, they could literally show them a white cloth and the students will say unanimously, that's black. The attempt to brainwash students is at least 100 years old. At least. Students were brainwashed into becoming a part of the industrial cog, to become workers in factories, because they wanted young boys to sit still and not run around. They wanted girls to, behave a certain way. They were all being programmed to become part of the cog of the industrial age. And now they've used that same technique to begin the brainwashing process to get people to agree to the most insane ideologies. Breaking. Teachers' unions in Florida face calls to be abolished after they said it's a requirement for faculty and students to stage anti-ICE walkouts statewide.
don't. Here's a student, okay, a brainwashed student giving a speech.
So when Florida students are confronted with videos of ICE raids, of families being torn apart, and of Americans being murdered for using their constitutional rights, they respond. They organize. They speak out. And they do what American students have always done in moments of injustice. They stand together and demand safety for their peers, their families, and themselves. And that response, while framed by some politicians as radical, is rather reasonable. It's rational. And in a moment like this, it is required.
Required.
To any students being told that they do not have the right to speak out or walk out on their campus, I want to be clear. This is the United States of America. You do not shed your First Amendment rights when you step foot through the schoolhouse gates.
I'll say this and I'll just move on. The doctrine of the United States of America is a doctrine that you stand on principle of common sense and of reality. You don't cower to people who are trying to brainwash you into believing a lie. That is the ethos of the American spirit. So when you hear these Marxists or communists try to say, oh, this is the United States of America, we have the right to believe in insane things. It's twisting the entire thing and turning the idea of the American spirit upside down. Okay? So it's just insane. Let's see. Let me just catch up with the chat. Gardening says, well, some people don't break from what they're fleeing in their state as they head here. It's true. They want the low taxes and then they come over and they're like, you guys are too, you're rigid. You don't believe in Pride Month. We have to bring our progressive ideologies to your state because all of you hicks don't know what's good for you. That's the way leftists think. They think they know what's best for everyone else. Gardening says, we have so many coming in from all the Democrat states, leaving for financial reasons and things like that, but bring their other craziness with them. Look, I have a proposal for all the red states. I know. I know. I'm not from around there. You guys can do whatever you like. But I have a proposal. And here's the proposal. Anyone who moves from a Democrat state has to live in a red state for 3 years without getting a voter ID for the state. You're not allowed to vote for 3 years until everyone is sure that at least the insanity that you lived under has kind of oozed out of you for a bit before you're given the right to vote in those states. Yeah, I know it's not popular and some people are going to turn their noses up at that idea. So thank you, Gardening, for that. Now, guys, remember, stay till the end. I'm going to give you an update on what's going on with me and a few things that I found out today, but it's going to be at the very end of the show. Okay, so now, brainwashing. The left-wing media did this to us for the entirety of the Biden administration. Last week, there was a bit of a stink that was circulating on social media about the interview that Jill Biden gave when she was doing her book tour because she wrote a book and she wants to sell it. And then she said this when she was asked the question. She was asked, did you ever see signs that Joe was falling into cognitive decline? And let's hear her answer.
Did you ever see signs that he was falling into cognitive decline? No.
Like, guys, do you believe this gaslighting? Do you believe this gaslighting? I don't have a potty mouth. Thank God. I don't have a potty mouth. But there are times when it's almost like people who have a potty mouth might just be, I'm not saying it's good to have a potty mouth. I'm not. I'm not. All right. And some of you who like my show have a potty mouth. Okay. And I don't.
But it's at this time that people who have a potty mouth unleash on the screen, okay? This woman who lived in the same house with Joe Biden for decades said she couldn't tell. That's gaslighting.
Truly. No.
She just lied, and she did it with impunity. These people are sociopaths. They are sociopaths. You and I saw the decline happening before our eyes in real time. I was all the way in Africa, and I was watching him fall up the stairs. I was watching him mumbling and stumbling over words, and TDSBC and CNN kept saying how he tends to mumble and stumble over his words. That's the way Joe Biden has always been. And then you play the old videos of him giving speeches, and you're like, my goodness, these people are lying. All right, these people gaslit us in real time for 4 years. Right? Do you guys remember this video? This video of him in Europe walking away like he saw something interesting, a unicorn prancing down in the corner of the meadow. He walked away, and everyone, they literally had to come and guide Grandpa Joe back to where the other dignitaries were standing.
They went out on stage and they were saying 4 more years. So if she really sincerely thought he was having a stroke, would you, as a responsible spouse, the person you loved and was married to, would you just go out and say 4 more years and then go out to Waffle House or wherever they went, later, and not really take him to a doctor right away if you really thought he was having a stroke? This is all, very contrived. And she's trying to sell a book. They knew there was something wrong with Joe, and so did the media. And they covered it up because it was all about being in power. Yep. Anything they could do, and let the staff behind the scenes really run everything. And that's really what it was all about. And she's trying to make it look like it really wasn't that.
So it's gaslighting, because if you can convince people that men can be women, if you can believe them that a boy can wake up the next day and decide that they are now a girl, their name is Sam, but now they're Samantha, and they now want to dress in girls' clothes and everybody has to affirm them. You can do this to the population. You can literally tell everyone what you're seeing doesn't exist. This is how Joe has always been. I'm going to read the chat because something hilarious is happening. I talked about the potty mouth and and gardening essentially called out Intergalactic. I'm sure he's going to drop his weights and jump on the chat. She said, I guess I know better. Angler doesn't have a potty mouth. He just got blocked this week for Pop's comments. Yeah, we heard that one. I'm not going to repeat that comment. Okay, the comment about what he wanted on his t-shirt. I'm not going to repeat that. I'm not going to repeat that. All right, so next we're going to quickly pivot over to California. Okay, and this will be the story that we're going to be ending the story segment with, and then we'll give an update on what's going on so far with what I told you guys yesterday with me and so on. So this says this is the greatest clip in the internet right now. MSNBC, TDSBC cuts the feed in panic as Spencer Pratt supporters tell the truth about Los Angeles live on air, because they don't want you to break the hypnosis. They want their audience to continue to, listen and stay confused and brainwashed.
It's a much more lively vibe, and in very LA fashion, there's now a chopper flying overhead. He's having his party at a Mexican restaurant that he has loved for years. And there's some Spencer Pratt supporters here who seem in a very good mood. You guys have
Instagram Patriot Welcome.
You guys have probably seen the latest batch of polling that just came out. Shows him doing pretty well in second place, just 10 points behind Karen Bass. How are you feeling about that? Do you feel really confident that he's going to make it to the runoff?
Definitely, he's going to make it to the runoff. There's a lot of people who already voted for him. Their votes haven't been counted yet. They voted day of the election, old school style. So I think his numbers are going to get better.
What is it about Spencer Pratt that you just is resonating with you?
Because he's speaking out against communism and socialism, and it is a real big problem in our cities, especially in LA where it's turned to crap. It's not an accident. They're doing it by design. Karen Bass wants to destroy our city, and it's nice to see someone like Spencer Pratt.
I can simplify it because those buzzwords are like they melt the brains of like left, leaning people. So let's just say it this way: he doesn't want human feces to be a part of your life.
Yeah.
He doesn't want homeless children outside.
Totally.
Homeless
Thank
people
you.
outside. Oh, you did.
Are you joking?
She ran away. He doesn't want homeless
Okay,
people outside of
we
the elementary
appreciate
schools
you.
having
Can I
sex
get a shout out real
with
quick?
their
We
own
appreciate
hands
you.
in front of the
We
children.
appreciate you. We've talked a lot about the homelessness. Thank you. All right. I'm gonna.
I don't appreciate you, ma'am.
I got it.
Like, seriously, they don't want you guys to hear what happens when Democrat policies run roughshod in a blue city like California. Literally, they want homeless people living around elementary schools, masturbating around kids. And when you're exposing it to the world, you're like, oh no, we're done here. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, yeah, thank you so much. It's crazy. Now, the polls from yesterday have been quite encouraging, and this is Steve Hilton. Now, Steve Hilton is the GOP front runner for the gubernatorial race, for the mayoral race, and the California system of politics is just weird. It's weird. It's like they put everybody in one bag, shake it together, and say, okay, we're gonna have elections, and the top two candidates get to enter into a runoff. And essentially what happened was you had two Democrats against one Republican candidate for the mayoral race. And then you had a bunch of Democrats against several Republicans. And Steve Hilton, essentially, as at the last time I checked the polls, was leading. And then he and the Democrat frontrunner are going to be having a runoff in November. It is a weird way to run elections, but that's the way California has chosen to run elections. Essentially, I guess it helps them cheat, dilute the vote enough, have people who essentially float to the top, and it favors Democrat candidates mostly, I guess. So let's listen to this interview from Fox News of Steve Hilton, essentially responding to a few things on his mind.
As a proud American, someone who loves this country so much, this is my first time running for office. And when we just passed that number of 1 million people, and it's now over 1 million, voting for me, 1 million Californians and rising,
that's
putting
crazy.
their hopes in me to bring change and put our state back on track. It's an unbelievable honor, something I absolutely take so seriously. I won't let people down. We've got to turn this state around. And I think tonight looks like the first step down that very important road.
Well, I'll tell you guys, it's encouraging to see that California may be flipping. My question to you guys in the chat is, do you think California will flip red by November? Because that's when the runoffs are going to be. We're currently in June, so there's a few months before November. Do you think that California will flip red? Already, the mayoral race was kind of close. Karen Bass was leading. And my question is, will Republicans be able to flip the state red? Okay. So let me know in the chat. So guys, remember we have our merch store is launching soon, 25% off when you buy our merch. We have two lines currently. We have the Bible plus the Second Amendment equals freedom. Okay, so this is the collection that we currently have. We have other options and colors of t-shirts. You have the navy blue and so on. And then you also have the Love America, the Love America First line. Okay, the Love America First line. We're going to be launching that in a bit. So we're just letting you know that that's coming down the pipe. All right, so let's talk about the updates. I don't think it's possible to flip red. Intergalactic Wrangler says, I don't think it's possible to flip red because, but one can have hope. Well, it's good for us to have hope. Do you know what? I didn't even show the merch. I'll just change the screen for a bit. It's possible for California to flip red. It is. It's just that the Republicans in California may not have been radicalized enough. And when I say radicalized, I don't mean that they turn violent and rabid. What I mean is that they step out of their comfort zones and head to the polls every single time it matters, for every election, local elections, district elections, house elections, state senate elections, everything. They step out in mass. Okay, unless they do that, it's not going to happen in California. It's not. And most Republicans tend to want to leave to other Republican strongholds because for a lot of people, California is a lost cause. For a lot of people, politically, it's a lost cause. Most people who stay in California tend to feel like they have a duty to try to save the state, and they stay to try to make that happen. So I don't know how that works for them, but that's what they believe. Gardening says, I really hope the Republicans and even get excited about actually having a chance, and they will get out there and vote. I hope they do. All right, I hope they do. All right, so let me quickly give you guys an update. All right, let me give you guys an update. Yesterday I gave you, I told you what was going on. Got a message, told that my application to get a work permit had been refused for the third time, and that I had to leave. Now, this morning, my wife, I got out of bed because usually I sleep later than everyone else because of the stream and everything. I got out of bed to get our youngest ready for daycare, and she asked me the question. She asked me, "How are you doing?" She asked me, "How are you doing?" I'm going to flip over to the feed, at. I'm going to flip over to the feed at the ICE detention center so that we can have something going on in the background that isn't a shirt. All right. So she asked me a question. Okay, so how are you doing? I told her, well, I'm good. Because I'll be honest with you, it kind of feels like I'm numb to the whole thing. I'm just like, everything will work out, but I don't, it's like I should be feeling something, but I really, I'm not feeling the tension like people expect me to feel. So after the kids were off to school, I took my usual walk where I take a walk and I pray, and that's when I pray and pray for you guys and so on. But this time my mind was, I did some praying for you guys, but my mind was really on this situation. I made some calls to people. I sent messages to people. A few people back in Nigeria say, hey, it looks like I'm going to be coming back for a bit. Okay. And while I was doing that, I got some advice from one of my friends. He's Canadian, he's white. He said, okay, why don't you go downtown to meet with one of the federal MPs? And the MPs are like senators or congressmen here. And I said, okay, I'm going to go down to their office right after I take a shower. I'm going to prep and head out there and see what happens. So I did that, and meanwhile, someone had offered to loan me the money to buy a plane ticket. One of our relatives had offered to she didn't offer to loan me the money.
She said she would allow me use her credit card to get the ticket, but I told her that because they had been helpful in the past, I said, I'm going to just, we'll pay you back. So I don't know if I'm giving too much information, but I'm sorry. So I started out with picking out the tickets, but I figured, okay, I'll wait until I finish up with the MP's office to see if there's anything they could do. My wife is making calls to other people in the state to kind of find out what else we're supposed to do. Someone tells her, okay, tell him you guys don't buy any tickets yet. Let's see what we can do. So the state is kind of looking into it. We've spoken to a lawyer. The lawyer's feedback was, don't leave because it's going to delay the other paperwork you're working on. Now, I'm going to try to be cryptic on a few things because someone in the comment section, I'm just going to read the comment section out. So someone in the comment section said this today. Like I said, yesterday's live stream shocked me because I saw that the live stream was picking up and I saw people dropping encouragement. Someone in the chat said, my prayer for you and your family. Also, my prayer for you and your family. I heard Canada is mostly liberal and probably the government found out that you have a conservative view, so they don't want you here. There. So I was like, well, I know, so I responded and I said, I know it's a thing and it's sad that we can say this in this day and age. Knowing this, I've steered clear of Canadian politics. If it comes to it, we will have to appeal this and force a clear reason out of them for why the decision was made. Christ is king and we trust him through it all. So there are people who watch my content who are concerned for me because I clearly support President Trump. I clearly support his policies. I clearly don't agree with gender ideology. And I avoid asking people who are in Canada to watch my content because I have to tell the truth, but the truth will be offensive to a lot of them. And I have a family to think about, and I don't want to be, I'm not a martyr, I'm not a radical, I'm not an activist. I'm just a guy who wants to tell the truth about what he sees. And people are concerned that this might be part of the reason why this is happening. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I hope not. I hope not. I've asked myself the question many times. If this is the reason why you're being held back from having paperwork in Canada, will you consider shutting down your channel and be quiet about what you're saying? And between me and the Lord, the answer is no. I have to tell the truth. There are people that have sold their integrity over things like this. And if I have to, and this is a hard thing to say, it's a very hard thing to say because I'm staring down the barrel of this, and right now, we don't know if the situation is like this is persecution or an attack coming from someone in government who has found my content. The channel is not in my name. I barely talk about where I live, which of the provinces I live in. I try to guard my family because when Charlie Kirk was murdered, my wife was genuinely terrified that me putting my face out there and having these views was going to put a target on our backs. So
even before that happened, I was very careful about not revealing too much about myself and so on. Now, anyone that wants to find out stuff about you, if they're determined enough, they will find out. So I knew that even if I did my very best, somehow someone might find something out and it would not be good. But the question is, if you put yourself on the line, if you put your reputation on the line, if you put your life on the line, I mean, can you really say to yourself, okay, I'm going to stand my ground in spite of this? And that's one of the questions I'm asking myself constantly, because I'm not going to sit here and say, okay, yes, I will. I'm just saying these are difficult decisions, and I have to face this question every single week. At least once a week, I ask myself the question, am I going through this because someone up there found my content, looked at my X account, and saw my conservative values, my Christian values, and felt like people like this don't belong here? Someone told me in confidence that he has been made aware of the fact that there are people in the Liberal Party who actually bring in people into the country and give them status in the country who are liberal. Like, they literally go after people who are liberal and not Christian. I'm sorry that I digressed a little, but I've been told that. So with all of that going on, it's been quite difficult to to literally just sit here and do content in a very transparent way. So I have to kind of be very cryptic in some aspects of what I say, especially when it comes to this. So I went to their office. I had the meeting with the rep, the assistant of the MP. And essentially, they said there's nothing they can do, and if I have to leave the country, I might just have to leave and come back. So there wasn't much movement from that end. But like I said, we've spoken to a lawyer. They've given us some advice. They said that if I left, it might affect the other bigger paperwork that we're working on. And it would be best for me to stay inland and then do a judicial review. It's like taking the challenging the decision in court before a federal judge. And that's going to cost. I'm being careful because it's very easy for situations like this to become fundraising. I'm not trying to fundraise. So I just want to put that out there first. I'm just giving you guys an update. So it might involve paying a lawyer to take up the case and write up a judicial review, and that's one way to keep me in the country. But essentially, we have to work fast. So we have about 24 hours to make that decision and pull the trigger on that, because once you have this notice from the immigration services, they contact the department that's responsible for removal. Okay, so once the department that's responsible for removal gets notified and they write me, it's on. Okay, so we're going to try and speed this up. Since I'm not buying a ticket right away, we're going to see what we can do about the lawyer thingy and just move on with that. I've notified close friends and so on. And I'm mentioning this to you guys, not because I want to put my business out there, but because we started having this conversation. I've mentioned it several times, and I just wanted to kind of give you guys an update. over the next few live streams, and hopefully, this turns out well. Hopefully, this turns out well. So, so that is the update. I have found some people who watched the content, the last live stream we did yesterday. I was genuinely shocked because I have a lady called, well, her handle is Amel June 1809. So she wrote this comment. If you go to the live stream from yesterday, you'll see these comments. She said, I stumbled across this channel while I was working. I clean houses and listen to YouTube while I work. Sounds like Intergalactic Wrangler minus the cleaning houses bit. I can't imagine you in aprons. I really enjoyed your video content and will subscribe and hope to help in that way. Your story broke my heart, and I'm praying that God intervenes for you and your family. God be with you and your family. I read this and I was shocked that because the live stream was just a mess, because I was really emotional, not emotional in the sense that I was crying, but I was really troubled because I couldn't wrap my head around being away from my kids. So that live stream, when I woke up this morning, it was at 30 views. It was around 30 views. And I was like, this live stream isn't going to go anywhere. It's dead in the water. I talked too much. I wanted the live stream to go on for 30 minutes and it wound up going on for 59 minutes. I gave too much information. It's horrible. Yeah. And then right now, that live stream, and I want to give you accurate numbers, that live stream has had 1,068 views right now as I speak. And is getting views right now as I speak in real time. So it's shocked me that this happened. And I'm genuinely blown away. I've read one comment already, and it's a strange phenomenon, but I don't want this to become like a fundraising thing and, oh, the world is ending. And that's why yesterday I had to clarify that it wasn't like I was going back to hell. It wasn't like I was going back to Afghanistan. It's not like that, or to Iran. But it's like when we made the decision to bring the family here, it was to protect the kids and to give them a chance to live in a society that won't kill them for having an opinion. And that happened in Nigeria in 2020. People protesting the police brutality were fired upon by our military and murdered. And the government said that nobody was killed. Meanwhile, this was being live streamed. We watched people live streaming the mayhem on Instagram, and the government said to us that never happened. And that's when I decided I was going to leave and take my kids out of that insanity. That's why I'm so angry when I see leftists do and say the things they do and say while we're watching them contradict everything that we've watched them do and say. So, so that's basically the update. I don't want to go on a rant, but I want to be honest with you guys. This has been full-time for me for 10 months. Has it paid as much as I would have liked it to pay? It barely pays, barely. So I'm like, for the most part, it's like this is more of a labor of love that hopefully will become profitable eventually, sometime in the future, and I don't know when. So I'm doing this and saying this to kind of just give you guys an update because I promised an update. Gardening says, I'm glad you did get them out. Look, I watch my kids enjoying the freedom of riding their bicycles down the street. We literally could not allow something is happening at the ICE facility, but it's not a riot or anything. Maybe guys are just being unruly. You literally couldn't let the kids ride the bikes in the middle of the street because we had people who didn't recognize traffic signs. You had people speeding down residential roads, and they might run over your kids. We had situations where school buses were being held up and children were being kidnapped and held for ransom. Like, those were things that were happening. High school buses at one point, I know a family that sent their kids to a school where the high school buses were being escorted by armed guards. I didn't want my kids to grow up like that. That's why we moved them over here. So I'm genuinely grateful for the opportunity to be able to do this and talk with you guys. I want to be as transparent as possible without revealing too much. I want to be accountable. And when I tell you guys things like, okay, like I said yesterday, hey, this is the news that I got, and in a few days I might be live streaming from Nigeria. I turned around today, figured out a few more details, talked to a lawyer, or my wife did, and got me the information. And it's refined. It's like, okay, I don't have to leave as soon as I thought. Here's what's going on, and here's what's going on. I'm just trying to give you guys an update because I said what I said earlier yesterday. I am accountable to you to give you an update on that, because if next Monday rolls around and I'm still live streaming from this set, and I don't explain why I'm still live streaming from this set and I'm not in Africa doing the show, it wouldn't be respectful of you, of your emotions, because a lot of you watched that video from yesterday and you felt my pain. Even some of you felt it deeper than I did. Some of you sent in donations, just to say, hey, I don't have much, but this is just me saying I want to help as much as I can. And I have to honor that, and I have to respect that. So I'm going to give you an update. And who knows, hopefully it's a nothing burger. Hopefully by next week, I come back and I tell you guys, hey, we made it. Nothing bad is going to happen. We're good. I hope I can tell you that next week. But I felt like I owed you guys an update. And if anything changes, I'm going to just give you guys an update. I will do that as much as I can, but I don't want to make it such that every live stream, I'm going to kind of roll out the drama first and say, here's what's going on again, break out the tissue. No, I hope I don't have to do that. I want us to just sit and have fun, but I felt I owed you guys an update, okay? But it's shocking how the videos on the channel have been doing. We've been having over 1,000 views on the most recent live streams. It is insane. Intergalactic Wrangler, I am going to read this message. I watched a video of people talking about truck drivers running off the road downhill and not knowing to use the emergency off ramps. When I talk about things about immigration and unchecked immigration and the wrong people coming in, I talk about it because I know that there are people from third world countries who don't know how the Western world works. And when they come in, because they don't know, they create problems, and sometimes lives are lost. And, now, Intergalactic Wrangler, I'm going to say this to you again, and everybody else. If you have these videos, send it to the email address, please. Please, pretty please, with a cherry on top, please. All right, send it to crossroadsirl@gmail.com. I want to be able to play these videos, and I want us to talk about these videos.
yes, I go through my feed and find these stories, but many times you guys come up with the best stories. For example, yesterday, I was not in the headspace to really craft a show. And gardening sends me a video out of the blues. And I'm like, okay, this is my first video. Okay. So sometimes you guys don't know that you're helping out, and everyone else enjoys the show because of your contribution. And Intergalactic Wrangler clarifies they did that because they can't read the sign. When I came to Canada, I had a Nigerian driver's license. I was still required to go to driving school. I felt offended because I had been driving for 20 years at the time when this happened. But do you know what? I'm glad I went to driving school because I realized that there's a difference between driving in Nigeria and driving in Canada. There's a difference. People will want to make this a race thing. Oh, you guys think that everything in Nigeria is bad? That's racist. I'm a Nigerian. I've lived there for over 40 years. I know what it's like. I know that when you bring someone from another country and try to get them to drive in your country, lives could be lost because they don't understand the rules or they can't even speak English or read English. These are safety issues. They are not race issues. So yes, you're right. Like these things do happen. Intergalactic Wrangler says, I'll keep praying for you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the prayers. Okay, I appreciate the prayers. Gardening says, glad to share. And everyone else who's watching, if you're one of the people who watch after the fact, I don't know, like this has gone beyond the hour mark. So we're gonna have a hard cut off in a bit. I want to say to you guys, Gardening, Intergalactic Wrangler, thank you guys. You guys mean so much to me because you guys are always here from start to finish. Thank you. Thank you so much. For everyone else who's watching after the fact, whether you're like Amel, you're cleaning, you're working, and you're listening to me while you're doing that, I want to say thank you for giving me a chance to enter into your world and to speak and to talk about the thing that sometimes you're too concerned that you talking about it will make you look like a racist. Okay. I can talk about it because according to the left, I can't be racist. So I can talk about them on your behalf. So thank you for giving me a chance. And thank you for listening. Intergalactic Wrangler gives a $10 super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you. Intergalactic Wrangler says, I'll try and remember to link them to you. I think things will work out. Keep having faith. I will. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Now, do you want me to tell you guys a secret? I'm going to tell you guys a secret, okay? You guys are my super fans. If you're still here, you're my super fans. I responded to an email this afternoon that Gardening sent to me. And I said to her something that occurred to me. It occurred to me. Over the last 3 live streams, or 4 live streams, because this makes 4 now, every live stream, someone has given a super chat. I noticed, and Gardening, Intergalactic Wrangler, you know that I've said that I noticed that every time I start ranting, the numbers go up. Every time I start ranting, the view count starts climbing. I said the algorithm is weird, and I think it's trying to condition me into ranting and being very controversial or something. But I will resist. But I also noticed something else. For the last 4 to 5 live streams, we've had super chats and membership donations happening. Meanwhile, let me do something. I want to give
gifted memberships while I'm talking. I just realized I haven't done a gifted membership. Let me see if I can for this show. I want to appreciate all of you for being so supportive and so kind. And I'm going to let me do some gifted memberships for this show. So please bear with me. I just want to, appreciate anyone who was able to join the show. So I'm going to give some gifted memberships. All right. So, geez. Okay. That's odd. That broke. Okay. So I'm going to try and give the gifted membership. So I noticed something, and I want you guys to hear this, okay? It's controversial. It's controversial. I noticed that since we started getting more super chats in the shows, our views generally started going up. And I'm going to make an observation, and I'm going to say what I think from a business point of view. So what I think is happening is YouTube is seeing these super chats and memberships as ad revenue. It's revenue because YouTube keeps 30% of whatever you give me. So I think the algorithm is like, if this guy is getting super chats, let's spread his content to more people. Maybe more super chats will come in. Gardening says YouTube wants their cut. I think that's what's going on. I can't prove it, but I think that's what's going on. Just like I can't necessarily prove that every time I start ranting, views go up, but gardening has noticed it. Okay? So is it correlation or is it causation? Are we just correlating? Are we just saying, okay, this is happening because we think it's happening? Or is it actually happening? All right, I'm going to be dropping gifted memberships now. So I hope you guys have fun. Everyone who gets the gifted memberships, thank you so much. I want to say I love you guys. And I just want you guys to... I just want to say how much I love you with gifting these memberships. So I told Gardening this afternoon. I said, I think this is what's going on. It is hard. It's hard for me to say it. It almost makes me feel like what I'm saying is, if you want to help the live stream grow, give super chats. It almost feels that way. But I don't know. So maybe you guys just pay attention. So we have Intergalactic giving a super chat today. We had Tony giving gifted memberships during 2 live streams ago. We had the super chat from yesterday. We had super chats the other time. And I've noticed that the last 3 consecutive live streams have all crossed 1,000 views, including the live stream that I thought would never do well, which was the one from yesterday. Now, those of you who watch my content and have stayed, Intergalactic Wrangler, Gardening, everyone else, most of my viewers are still on the main channel. You've become connected to my personality and the stories and the content. And I thank you for it. I hope that soon we will be able to reach more people. So that's the secret I wanted to drop. And before we shut down for the night, I have an announcement. And I almost forgot. If you saw a live stream that went up earlier today, this evening, and it went off, it was me testing out a 24/7 replay stream. I'm setting it up on another computer on the side here. It's meant to be a 24/7 replay stream of, let's say, the best of my live streams. I'm going to select the best live streams, starting with the most recent ones, and it's going to continue to populate and play for 24 hours, 7 days a week. It'll just keep going. Now, it might be premature. It might be premature because the channel isn't as big as other channels that have started it. But what I want to do is to give people who join this live stream for the first time the option of experiencing the other episodes that we've had in the past. Like Amel, who left the comment, and everyone else who found the live stream from yesterday. What I'm hoping is when they watch that live stream and it ends, they should have the option of slipping over to the one that's running and ongoing. So that's the idea behind the 24/7 version of the show. It's a replay that keeps going for 24/7. It's an experiment, but I hope it pans out so that more people can kind of catch up and, it keeps the channel warm. That's what I'm trying to do here. So we're kicking that off at midnight my time, 11 p.m. Eastern. So we're kicking that off, and I hope it helps the channel. Well, guys, you guys are gardening with a $5 super chat to tell YouTube, you better spread this content. Yes, sir, here you go. Is that how it works? Gardening, you are awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Look, guys, I'm humbled by your support. I'm humbled by your prayers. I'm humbled that you guys have believed in me. And I can promise you one thing. I will do my best to not let you guys down. I'll do my best to not let you down. Okay. I'll be honest. I'll be straightforward. If I mess up, I'll own up to the fact that I messed up. If, I have seen for years how people have let down their audience. Okay. I've been let down by people that I respected and I followed, and I've been let down by that. So, I'm sorry if I'm being mushy. Last year, I said on a live stream, I said, I'm going to try to keep the live stream as authentic as it is, as it's been as a small channel, even when it becomes a big channel. I'm going to try to read as many as many regular chats that I can. And yes, we'll read super chats, but I want to read everyone's chat who doesn't have the funds to pay for a super chat. Most of the people who watch the channel are between the ages of 55 and up. Most of the people are either approaching retirement, don't have disposable income to throw into super chats. Most of them don't even know that they can give a super chat. Okay, and they just want to connect and communicate. Am I going to ignore all of the hearts that they put into the comments and simply look for people who are giving super chats in order to give them preferential treatment? That's not being authentic. I would actually feel horrible doing that. Because I see shows where super chats are read, and are giving preference. And yes, I will definitely read super chats in order to honor the sacrifice of people's, giving or donations. But I don't want to ignore people who can't give a super chat and they're making great points in the chat. So I want you guys to hold me accountable to that. I want to be able to do it. I know that at a certain point in the growth of this channel, the channel is going to be so big that I may not be able to get through every chat. But I'm going to try. I'm going to try to read as many regular chats as I can. I want to say this so that you guys, at least you gardening, you intergalactic, you guys hold me accountable to it, because I want to be able to remain this person, okay, that just loves the fact that people are in the chat talking. It excites me. I love it. And that's why I live stream. I haven't created one new video on the main channel because I love doing this so much. I want an authentic connection with my audience, and not something that's manufactured or staged. I want something that is real and raw. So please hold me accountable to it. Remind me of this promise and hold me accountable. Okay, so that I will never change. I will continue to be this guy who values what everyone in the community has to say. So thank you so much. And maybe you guys also let me know how the 24/7 replays are going. Let me know what you think about it. Give me some pointers. Tell me if there are other things that could improve. But I just want to provide a way to off-ramp people from this stream into, for example, when this live stream ends, what it's going to look like is when a live stream ends, it's going to off-ramp into the 24/7 replay. And who knows where you land. You might land when Intergalactic Wrangler is saying that I should make a wife beater t-shirt. Who knows? And we're going to continue to, add more to the replay. It's just going to be ongoing for 24 hours. This is only possible in North America. I would struggle to do this in Africa. So you guys, thank you for your prayers to keep me here so that I can keep doing this. Thank you for watching the content. You staying till this point is encouraging. Thank you so much. Thank you to the mods. Thank you, Intergalactic. Thank you, Gardening. And thank you to the lurkers, those of you who kind of watch and don't comment and don't chat. I see you, but you know what? Thank you for hanging out with me. It has been an amazing show. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you guys. I don't take your time for granted. You guys have been amazing. Thank you. Thank you. It's hard for me to say good night, but you know what? I have to say good night. Maybe I'll do a theme song one time. I'll just produce a theme song when I'm saying good night to the audience. Okay. And then just end the show. And gosh, I'm so blown away by you guys. I love you guys, and I have to rip myself away from the mic. All right, until the next show, same time tomorrow. See you then. Goodbye, and God bless. And remember, I'm praying for you, and I love you guys so much. All right, see ya. Bye-bye.